You ain't ever come.
Sports Roundup, covering all local and area sports and teams, with your host Scott Hardy, and your phone calls at 256-234-6221. If it's sports in the Lake Martin area, we cover it. The Lake Martin Sports Roundup, right now.
A good Tuesday evening out there to everybody, and welcome into the Lake Martin Sports Roundup show presented by JR's Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Luke Robinson here with you, and Luke and I will be over at 7 o'clock for Sports Blitz Live. Man, there's so much to talk about in the world of sports, especially in the college ranks, Luke, and professional. A lot of that we're going to obviously cover over at 7 o'clock. This show is designed to really highlight the teams, the local teams, the youth league teams in this area, and we always have a lot of fun seeing all the kids come up here at JR's from 6 to 7. We got some teams on tonight. We'll be talking about the youth league that's going on, and our team. My team is in the 11 and 12-year-old league. We've got a couple of regular season games left in the playoffs, so it's coming fastly to an end. Luke, almost like the high school season. We are 7 games in now to the high school football season.
Unbelievable.
And it's going by quickly, and we'll start there with Benjamin Russell. A huge game Thursday night at the Sportsplex with the Wildcats and Chelsea coming in. And really, you can just kind of X out, however you want to talk about it, last year's performance. Benjamin Russell went up there and really just put it to Chelsea and took them out of the game early. The game was shortened by rain. It was a blowout in the third quarter, and that team was undefeated when we went to play them. Well, they're 6-1, and we're 6-1. Both of us have a loss to Kowaliga. This is for a clinch of the second seed in this region, Luke. I mean, by all stretches, this is it. And the winner will come out with home field advantage in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's look, I heard Coach Horn on the pregame last week talking about Oxford, and he mentioned that Oxford was probably the second best team they'll face or something like that. I disagree. I think it's just Chelsea team. Now, look, Chelsea had a lead just like Benjamin Russell against Opelika at the half, and then Opelika turned it on the second half just like the Benjamin Russell game. And so, I mean, these two teams are evenly matched for all intents and purposes, but I still give a pretty significant edge to Benjamin Russell simply because of Tyree Gray. He's been incredible. I know you've gotten to see him every single game. You get to see him in practice. I haven't seen him live yet, but I hear so much about him, and I have seen some of the video clips, and he really is a phenomenal athlete and a great leader, and I think he's going to take this Benjamin Russell team to a victory Thursday night and thus clinch the second seed.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Obviously, we're going to be homers on there, but the stats don't lie, Luke. He's the guy that's put up tremendous numbers. He's rushed for over 1,000 yards already this season. His passing percentage is up over 65% now, so he's completing better than 65% of his passes. So this is a kid that really he had his start last year at the quarterback position as a junior. Had really had no prior experience with that. And built in every game last year. He got better and better and better, and it was amazing to watch how much better he got every game. And by 3/4 of the way, probably that Chelsea game last year, he really showed that he had the confidence and was the best guy on the field every night, no matter who our competition was. It didn't matter if we were playing Spanish Ford. It didn't matter if we were playing Opelika or whoever it is that we played that had great athletes. Tyree always emerged as the best player on the field, and his stats have always shown that. He had over 150 yards rushing against Spanish Fort last year. He had over 180 yards rushing against Opelika this year. That's why he's opened eyes to some of these college scouts and college coaches when they coming in and recruiting Tyree now.
Well, where is he looking? I mean, his name isn't out there amongst some of the bigger names in the state of Alabama. Obviously, I could make the argument that maybe it should be, that maybe he should be getting a look. I think he's at least worthy of a 3-star designation.
Oh, there is no doubt about it.
You don't see him anywhere in any of the lists. And I think this is one of the cases where a guy can slip through the cracks, even with all the video evidence you have of how good somebody can be in this day and age. You've got all these various services. they are also a copycat industry. If one guy
that's right,
it lists another guy as a 5-star, well, other places are going to be pressured to at least put him as a high 4-star. And if one team or one service doesn't have a guy listed at all, then the other services are going to be hesitant to list him at all. And I think if somebody were to get on the boat here and understand that Tyree Gray is a major talent, and I don't know that he'll play quarterback at the next level. I'd be willing to bet he probably won't. But he's a heck of an athlete, and I think he'll play somewhere for somebody.
No doubt about it. And, he's got a lot of work left to do at Ben Russell, and finishing this senior campaign would like to clinch that home field advantage Thursday night at the Sportz. I want to remind everybody that game's in 2 days.
Right.
It'll be Thursday night, not Friday. It'll be Thursday night at the Charles E. Bailey Sportsplex, and you want to be there. The weather is going to be great this week, Luke. After a terrible weather week last week, that game at Oxford was just messy. It was messy everywhere. It was a lot of rain throughout the state of Alabama on Friday night. But this is going to be perfect football weather on Thursday night at the Sportsplex. We want everybody to come out because this is a very good Chelsea team coming in, and they're better than they were last year. They were a good football team last year, but they're a better team this year coming in, and they would love nothing more than to be able to come in and upset our Wildcats and knock us out of that second seed.
I totally agree. I think it's going to be a huge contest, so hopefully we'll have a full stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a break here on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. We come back, Luke and I will talk a little bit more about high school football in this area, and then we've got our first team on Youth League team coming up here around 6:20, 6:25. Stay tuned. More the Lake Martin Sports Roundup presented by JR's right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard and Luke Robinson here with you. at JR Sports Bar and Grill. We'll have one of our teams up in the next segment of our program, Luke. But continuing on, again, want to remind everybody, like we said in the first segment of the program, that Benjamin Russell and Chelsea Thursday night at the Sportsplex. Really, winner clinches that number 2 seed in the region, and that guarantees your first round game at home in the playoffs. And then from there, it's all about who wins and where you are on the bracket and all that kind of stuff. But you want to get that first game at home. And now the way it looks like the regions and some of the teams in 6A, I mean, you got great teams 1 through 4 that are qualifying now. In 6A football, the regions seem to be a little bit tougher than maybe in some of the other classifications. But, I mean, you think about a Saraland that could be a number 3 seed in the Mobile area. You're looking at a Benjamin Russell or Chelsea being a 3 seed in our region. So those 2-3 matchups are going to be some tough matchups in the first round. And I know you've talked about that in the past. You kind of like, you know, somebody's played real well and somebody might have an 8-2 record, and they could get beat in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that the way that we work our playoff system, you know, it's so funny in the college ranks. Everybody always loves to say, "Well, these other teams, they prove it on the field." Well, yeah. There's no system that's perfect. I believe, even though I'm part of the AHSA radio network, love the AHSA, love everything that it's about, love the championships, et cetera, the fact that the way the playoffs are structured, you could have 2 teams that arguably should be playing for a state championship playing in the first or second round is a problem for me. I think that it needs to be one of those situations where you can seed teams more effectively. I know it's very, very difficult. I know travel is a big-time problem, but I think there could be some other ways around this.
I definitely do too. And, you know, you look at some of the other teams around the area. Reeltown fell this week. Dayville got beat. Horseshoe Bend got beat. So really Benjamin Russell, the only team able to pull out a victory this past week from Tallapoosa County. And, you know, Coach O'Neill came back to coach Reeltown one more year out of retirement. Got some great athletes, but not able to put up a lot of offensive numbers down there. I mean, the story at Dayville, our good friend Kevin Kill, who's the play-by-play for them, I mean, he and I talked this week, and he said, man, you know, when you lose a guy like Sean D, that is your quarterback, but is a tremendous athlete and really makes play after play after play on the field. I mean, you can go all the way from Hoover down to your smallest 1A school. Right. You take the best player off any team in high school, you're going to feel it. Now, some more than others, but you're going to feel it. I mean, obviously, if Tyree Gray were off this Benjamin Russell team, we would feel it. We would feel it. Doesn't mean that we would tank and we would lose coming the rest of the way out. But, I mean, the offensive production would definitely go down. I don't think anybody would argue there. And Sean D's the same way. I mean, he was the guy at quarterback. They had to move in there, and he was doing a phenomenal job, and he went down with a knee injury. And now you see Dayville struggles. They've lost 2 games in a row.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for Dayville, and
they got leads.
It's a shame, because it's not one of those situations where you can redshirt him and hope he comes back. Or
that's it.
This is it, and it's a shame. But he will be moving on to play for the University of Alabama, so good things ahead for him and good things ahead for Dayville. I mean, it's still a strong program. They will recover from this, but it may not be till next season.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, Dayville looks like they still may be able to get into the playoffs, but it'll be close. You know, coming down the stretch, had to pull out some wins to get into that 4-team seed. And this was a team that we felt like, you know, might have the makings that can make a run with him at quarterback, but that, you know, injuries are part of the game, and you've got to be able to sometimes you just can't overcome them depending on the player. Luke, as a whole in high school football, I mean, Hoover fell for the first time in forever. Spain Park were able to beat them. That was their 14th meeting. Spain Park finally got over the hump, but they dominated Hoover in that ball game. Hoover's had a lack of offensive production so far this year as well. Their defense is still playing really good, but their offense has struggled since they've been back in state.
They have. It's the first time they've been shut out since 1991.
That's unbelievable.
That really is. That's crazy. Wow, of all the scores I thought I'd see last week, that was probably the one.
And that was a Thursday night game.
I was least likely to see. Yeah, it was a Thursday night game. So I guess it's kind of a message to Benjamin Russell.
You better be ready.
By the way, who moved into the AL.com power poll this week in the top 25. I think they're 23, 22, somewhere in that neighborhood. And kudos to Benjamin Russell for getting in there. And if you get by Chelsea, you'll move up. I mean, that's going to get you some more recognition. And I know recognition doesn't mean quite as much in high school for the program necessarily. But it means a lot to the players that are on that team.
Of course.
They love to see that their team is in the Birmingham News and AL.com. It's fantastic.
But, historically, Benjamin Russell been one of the top programs in state history. I think we're number 7 in all-time wins in all of programs in the state of Alabama. So a lot of pride, almost a 67% winning percentage over the course of the history of Benjamin Russell. So there's just not many teams out there as you go through. And we go to the Football Historical Society all the time and look, and you got a coach that's got 271 wins and Danny Horn. You got a program that's one of the top in state history in wins. So a lot to be proud of here in this area.
It really is, and a lot to look forward to. Hopefully, this Benjamin Russell team will make a deep playoff run. I think it's got everything, all the ingredients to make one if they can get by that second-round game. I think the first round probably be no problem. It's going to be that second-round game, assuming that they clinch this second seed, that's going to be a problem.
Absolutely. We're going to take another break here on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup. When we come back, Shannon Wright's flag football team will be up here with us, and we'll have Coach Wright up here, and we'll talk about them and their team, and then we'll introduce their players and get a good picture up here, Luke. So we're excited to have them on the show here coming up next. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup presented by JR's right after this.
If you're looking for the best chicken fingers or wings in town, then look no further than JR Sports Bar and Grill in Ellick City. Order my favorite, the Wing Basket, or try an awesome burger, quesadilla, crab claws, or dig into a healthy and delicious salad. JR's offers daily lunch specials that save you money without sacrificing on taste. Check out their Facebook page for daily lunch specials. JR's can also cater any special event from weddings to tailgate parties and has a huge party room for any special occasion. Stop by soon at JR Sports Bar and Grill at their location right off Highway 22 in Ellick City. On November 17th, Tallapoosa County Cares and East Alabama Mental Health are partnering to bring vendors of our community a one-day responsible vendor training. This 2-hour training, recognized by the ABC Board, provides education on Alabama liquor laws and reviews safe practices during alcohol sales. We encourage any alcohol retailer to participate and help us reduce underage drinking in Tallapoosa County. To register for more information, please contact Chelsea Neighbors at 334-742-2112 or Debbie Campbell at 334-707-8735. Choose to refuse the sale of alcohols to minors in Tallapoosa County.
It's been a great boating season, but it's time to get that boat out of the water and ready for winter. Trust the pros the locals know. Alex City Marine, with 2 convenient locations. Alex City Marine is the place to go for complete winterization and storage of your boat, no matter the make or model. We offer great deals on all-season repairs and all-season prices on the powerful Suzuki engine. Need a new boat? Now's the time to get one, with off-season pricing on all Landau pontoon boats. Trust the pros the locals know. Alex City Marine on Cherokee Road in Alex City, and Alex City Marine South at the corner of 63 and 229.
Around here, we have our own way of looking at things, whether it's a community event or an afternoon stroll, a lakeside sunset, or our community hospital. We expect the best. That means leading-edge technology.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard now joined up here by Shannon Wright, the head coach of the 5- and 6-year-old flag football team Falcons right here in Alex City. Shannon, thanks so much for being on the program.
Appreciate you having us.
Well, it's always fun to have all the different teams up here in the different seasons, no matter if it's baseball, football, basketball. Part of the fun that we're able to have up here at Sports Blitz. And just talk about it. This is where, just like in T-ball and in baseball, flag football, you got these kids out there at 5 and 6 years old when they're really getting introduced to the game and trying to learn the fundamentals and all that's a very important age.
Oh, yeah. They start them out this young. I think Blake Self got with Sonny Wilson and decided to start a flag football team to kind of get the younger kids involved before they got into the tackle football. And it's been real great. The main thing is it's hard to get them to quit trying to tackle. They love to tackle. And as soon as we have a little water break or whatever, they're out there wrestling, tackling, and we have to get right back to pulling flags and getting back to the basics of football.
Sure. Well, that's it's a lot of fun, and just talk about what you guys do. I know you said you have about 10 kids on your team, and I know you got a lot of parents that support, and then, just in any youth sport, it's like that. But talk about what you guys work on as far as in practice and at that age, what you do with them.
We start off the very first thing we started off with was learning what the line of scrimmage was.
There you go.
Everybody's got to know what the line of scrimmage is. We tell them it's an invisible wall on the back of the football. Can't cross it until the ball is snapped. You start off with your very basic, just line of scrimmage. Don't move till the ball's moved. Throwing up, giving the quarterback a target because we do pass, and learning to carry a ball. And learning, we've lined our cones up just like we would in tackle football, to where one's running after a handoff and one's running after him to kind of, instead of tackle, we have to get them pulling that flag.
Sure.
And just everything that has to do with football except for the tackling part. And we tell them when on defense to watch the quarterback's eyes. This age group right here, they kind of forecast where they're going to pay, throw the ball, or where they're going to hand the ball off.
Hey, they do that at every level. They still do that in college.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, but Shannon, talk about the how you block in flag football. Obviously, I coach up in the 11, 12-year-old league, and that this group that I'm coaching head to the middle school next year. So we're really trying to get them to learn how each position is important and what position they're going to want to try out for next year when they get to the middle school and all that. Right. Talk about blocking. How do you block in flag football?
Well, we go by NFL rules, and one of the things about NFL rules is in flag football is we can't block.
Gotcha.
Every lineman we've got actually turns into a wide receiver.
Okay.
So as soon as the ball's hiked, everybody goes
out for a pass.
Everybody goes out for a pass. Everybody's looking. All your defensive players turn into defensive backs. We've got one player. We use one player as a linebacker. He's the only one that can rush the quarterback. He's the only one that can cross that line of scrimmage. He has to start 7 yards back. You can have the whole team actually start 7 yards back and rush the quarterback, but we choose just to use one. Let him rush in. His only job is to run after the quarterback and go after his flag. But as far as blocking, there's not any blocking other than, when one of our players breaks loose and he's running down the sideline, they're running with him and can't nobody get to him. But
yeah.
It's not, you're not supposed to do it, but I mean, it's just part of it.
Do you have flag? Now, I'm going back to my days of intramural football at Auburn when we played for fun. Do you have flag guarding? Can't guard the flag.
Right.
You can put your hands down. You can't cover
get guard. You have to have your shirt tucked in. Flag has to be accessible. It has to be on the side. You can't have it in the front or the back.
There you go.
It's pretty fun. Like I said, if you go to flag football NFL, NFLflagfootball.com, I think they got a whole set of rules that we go by, that we have to read and follow. And it's not a whole lot. It's not a whole lot of difference between it and tackle football. It just takes out the blocking and the tackling.
There you go. Well, we've got Shannon Wright up here with us at JR Sports Bar and Grill, the head coach of the 5 and 6 year old Falcons flag football team here in Alex City. What's your record right now, Shannon?
Against the teams here in Alex City in our league is we're 3-0.
There you go.
And the jamboree, we know that doesn't count. It's more for show for the parents and kind of see where we're at. We also won that one, but we introduced Goodwater. They come into the league, and that's the only team that has beaten us right now. And they got us 12-0.
12-0. Well, you get another shot at them.
Most definitely.
There we go. There you go. So kind of rebound from that one. But Shannon, I'm gonna get you to hang around just a second. When we come back, we're going to give all your kids an opportunity to come up and talk to Luke. And he's going to ask them a couple of questions, and we'll get a good picture here of your group here. And we're glad that you guys are here. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup presented by JR's right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by JR Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard, Luke Robinson, and Shannon Wright, the head coach of the 5-6-year-old flag football team, the Falcons, here in Alex City, up here with us. Before we get to your players, Shannon, I know you want to talk about the volunteers and everybody that's involved with this team.
Like I told Sonny years ago when I first started helping out with my 10-year-old, it's really important to get parents involved. I'm real lucky right now. I got two real good coaches, Eric Griggs and Chad Jones, who can't be with us today. Even when I'm not the head coach, I've always tried to be a part of either just bringing ice to the games, mixing up the Kool-Aid. Yeah. Every little thing that you can do helps. And not enough said about the team moms that go out of the way and that do the text messages. And you know, we got two team moms. We're real lucky. My wife Heather and Eric's wife Emily stayed up till 10:30 getting the float ready for the homecoming parade. And I mean, we were up painting and decorating a lawnmower trailer for these kids to ride on. there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind, not with just our team, every team that's in the league, no matter what age group. And you understand, we've been a coach. There's so much involved. Every parent that helps out, every little bit helps out. It's so much appreciated.
We couldn't do it without it, and
Right.
that is important. And that's an important thing that they'll remember being in the parade, because this year this was it for us.
Right.
That's my son's last one. So when you kind of look at it and go, man, that's it. And then once it's gone, it's gone. So you cherish that. But we'll Luke's up here now with us, and Luke, you're gonna call them up one at a time, let them introduce themselves, and maybe their favorite football player. What about that?
Yeah, we asked the tough questions here.
We
on
just
Sports
real
Blitz,
tough.
So I'm
real
going to
tough.
get to the bottom of all these stories. All right, come on up, big man.
That's Sawyer is my son.
All right, come on.
He's
you
like,
gotta
whoa.
get on camera. How you doing? What's your name?
Sawyer,
And what position do you play?
wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Have you caught a lot of passes this year? Good for you. Thanks for coming up. All right, come on. Who's next?
Vontae.
All right, what's your name, big man?
Okay.
Okay, and what position do you play?
Center.
What's your favorite football team?
Jaguars.
Jacksonville Jaguars. All right. Somebody let the Jaguars know. They got a fan. I dig it. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. All right, come on up. How you doing today, buddy? What's your name?
My name, Caleb.
All right, Caleb. And what position do you play?
Quarterback.
And how are you doing in school?
Good.
How good? Like all A's good?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? I'm not going to check. You might as well say it.
Exactly.
Come on up. And what's your name, buddy?
Jimmy Ground.
And what position do you play?
Running back.
Running back. How many touchdowns do you think you have this year?
2.
Two
He
touchdowns.
knows.
All right. Good job, buddy. Thanks.
Real fast.
It's not that he thinks; he knows.
Yeah, he
So.
knows he's got to.
Here we
He's
go.
real fast.
All right.
Mr. Caleb.
And what's your name, buddy?
Caleb.
Caleb, what position do you play?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. And who's your favorite football player? Auburn. Just all of Auburn. All of it.
We need all the support we can get.
As long as you
We're
didn't say
just,
Duke
we're
Williams,
just
I
glad we
guess.
got a few left.
All right, buddy. What's your name?
Joe Randy.
All right. And what position do you play?
Running back.
Running back. How many touchdowns do you have this year?
2.
Two. Sure.
There you
Again,
go.
good job,
That's it.
buddy.
That's it.
Thank you. All right. What's your name?
Cannon.
And what position do you play?
Running back.
Running back. You got a lot of running backs on this team. How many touchdowns have you scored?
2.
And everybody's got 2
spreading it
touchdowns.
around. We're spreading it around. So
Man, it's easy to keep the stats on your team. All right. Last but not least, what's your name, buddy?
Ashante Judson.
And what position do you play?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. And have you caught a lot of passes this year? Good for you, bud. Thanks for coming up. It's a
That's
good
good
group,
stuff.
Shannon.
Oh, yeah, we're real glad he came. We were real scared his asthma was acting up.
Wow.
I was told a while ago he wouldn't make it, and I got here, and there he is sitting there smiling. He's got a good attitude.
and that's what it's all about. I mean,
yeah.
and, you got to have good attitudes, and it starts at a young age, and then it goes on up. So, Shannon, we really appreciate you guys coming up tonight.
Appreciate you
What we're
guys,
going to do before they get out of here, we're going to get a picture up here.
Oh, yeah.
So all the mamas and daddies can get a good shot up here, and we'll make sure we push it out as well. So we're going to go ahead and go to our next break. Shannon, thanks so much for being
Appreciate
on
you
the program.
having
Thank
us,
you so
man. We
much. That
really
was Shannon right there with a 5- and 6-year-old flag football team Falcon. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup presented by JR's right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by JR's Sports Bar and Grill. Brett Pritchard, Luke Robinson here for about another 15 or so minutes before we head over to Sports Blitz Live at 7 o'clock. And Luke's always fun to have the youth league teams on the program up here. Another packed house here at JR Sports Bar and Grill. Really, JR, let me just say this. JR is doing a karaoke night up here, and they started last Thursday. It was packed to the gills up here. I didn't come, actually. I didn't want to, embarrass anybody by me coming up here with my great.
And by embarrass anybody, you mean your family.
That's exactly right. That's right. By me being up here near a microphone singing. But anyway, everybody just raved about how great it was and how much fun it was.
Did they do it right here?
Do it upstairs, and then it kind of carries through, and the whole place was packed. So, a lot of fun, and they're going to continue to do that. And so make sure you check our Facebook and our Twitter and all that. We'll continue to promote that, those karaoke nights. But a lot of fun there, Luke. Always fun to have them on the program with us, and different team every week, at least a couple, it seems like we have every week. And we'll talk some more high school football because, we've discussed this several times over the last few weeks. It seems like, maybe not in 6A, but in some of the other classifications, man, it's the haves and the have-nots. It's you're either really good or you're not good. And there's really not a lot of in-betweens. And I don't know if I can remember ever being a time in high school football where there's been so many blowout scores. And we talked about it last year a little bit, but, man, I'm just listening to you guys on the way home from Oxford the other night. I mean, 61-0, 49-3. I mean, 54-0. I mean, just score after score after score, up and down classifications like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know. And I'm talking about programs that have historically been solid programs like an Oxford. I mean, Oxford's won 2 games. It's 2-5 this year. I mean, you can name some more that have really gone down over the past. Eufaula has been a historically good program. They are having struggles winning over the last couple of years. I just don't understand it. I really don't. And it's not because they don't have athletes. Oxford was loaded. Right. Oxford was loaded with athletes. I mean, when they came out and warmed up on the field, I mean, it's not like you said, well, boy, this was going to be a cakewalk. I mean, you thought, well, nasty conditions on their home field. We better play good up here. We might get upset. Luke, there wasn't ever a worry, even after the first couple of drives where it was trying to kind of feel its way out. You could tell when we took the game over, and it was like they said, okay, we just want the full quarter to get here.
That's right. And that's the way it is with a lot of scores. And it's a shame, but maybe it's always been this way, and I haven't noticed it quite as much. But I'm with you. I mean, I get to call a lot of scores out, obviously, and I want to say it was either in 2A or 1A last weekend where there were no upsets. Yeah. And about half the games in the top 10 were shutouts.
I mean, what happened to – now, here's one, Sweetwater, for example. Sweetwater and Leroy played each other. Sweetwater won. But Sweetwater and Leroy I'm talking about, that would have been a game of epic proportions. And I don't think anybody knew they played the other night. And, Sweetwater struggled. If they used to beat people up and down classifications. It's just not the case anymore. And you look down at some of these other schools that we've seen that have been historically good, and they're just not. I'll go over to and again, this isn't to cut on anybody or any school, but in AISA, Edgewood Academy, I know what they're doing. They're putting up unbelievable numbers, and they set records. They continue to break records and set records. But just like getting beat 65-0 every week. When you win 65-0 every week and nobody challenges you at all, I mean, yeah, you want to be on that side of it. Don't get me wrong, but what part of that's any fun? I mean, I'm just asking. After you've reeled off 70 of those in a row.
Well, I'm guessing that they're just playing against themselves at this point. I mean, that's what they have to be doing. You're not playing the competition anymore.
But, I mean, does any of their fans really get in the car? I mean, if my kid was on that team, I'd be, you go in sports kid. But I'm talking about anybody that's maybe not have a kid on the team that's going to watch the football game. Is anybody getting in the car expecting anything other than a 5-touchdown victory?
Oh, I doubt it. Oh, yeah, they expect something other than a 5-touchdown victory.
An
8 touchdown
7
victory.
or 8. I mean, I just, again, it's not a slide on them. I can appreciate what they're doing. They're dominating. They can't help that everybody else, but everybody else in the AISA seems to be fairly even and competitive, and they're just so much. I would love to see them play some of the teams in the HSA. I mean, to see because look, they've got great players. I mean, they've got
some, but they couldn't. I mean, where do you think they'd be HSA wise? 3A?
Somewhere in that neighborhood, probably.
3 top end 3, bottom end 4.
Madison Academy is where they'd be faced up with.
I'll tell you, I think Madison Academy would be better than them. First of all, if you just threw them in there, I think that Madison Academy would certainly be better because Madison Academy has been there and been through the ringer a few times.
Yeah.
I think Madison Academy is, for all intents and purposes, a 5A team. But I think Edgewood could be a contender in 3A, certainly.
Interesting to see. I just thought I'd bring it up because, I mean, Scott and I talked about it Saturday. I mean, I'm not cutting – it's definitely not a slide on Edgewood Academy. I mean, but nobody's going to beat them. I mean, they could fumble it 6 times and not lose. That's just where it is. And, at some point in time, I would want a challenge from somebody. So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, you say that, if maybe Hoover felt the same way. Next thing they know, they got more than they could bargain for.
They dropped right on out to 17 up. But it's just that's a rare occasion for Hoover. I mean, and that's why it's such a big deal. When Spain Park, they wanted to make that a rivalry, and Spain Park was 0-13 against them since they had split. And for it to be a rivalry, the other team has to win a few games, and that's the first one. And congratulations to Spain Park, but will it be another 13 years before they win another one?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I think you're going to see Spain Park creep up and be a contender. Now, they just need to get over that hump. I mean, they had games where they were close to Hoover. They even went to a state championship game, but they didn't have to play Hoover.
Yeah.
They lost that game, too.
They did to Prattville. So, last break here on the program. We come back. We'll close it out and head over for Sports Blitz Live. We've got a lot to talk about, Luke. Ton of stuff. Big show tonight. Make sure you keep us tuned in. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup presented by JR's right after this.
Since the dawn of
Welcome back, everyone. The final segment here on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. Again, want to thank the 5- and 6-year-old Falcons flag football team for being on the program tonight with us. Head coach Shannon Wright up here earlier in the program, and glad that the team was up here, and always fun to have them up here. Scott Hardy up here just in the nick of time for the last segment, and but Scott's been out with a project he's been doing with work. So, Scott, good to see you this afternoon, and I'll just get your take, man. We're about to head into Sports Blitz Live.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be one for the ages probably tonight. So you want to tune it in, and unfortunately, I got to weather the Auburn storm for us. But I don't know. I mean, I know you've probably heard today and a lot last night. Duke Williams getting dismissed, but then the tweets that are going out from players today, and I mean, Rock Thomas. I'm just gonna say it. I don't care. I mean, these guys are putting it out there on social media, sending Snapchats. He and Stanton Truitt want to leave, ready to get out.
Javon Robinson's name has been thrown out there.
Well, Javon Robinson needs to actually get on the field so somebody would know that he's still on somebody's team. All right, before he starts worrying about transferring. All right, and then Byron Coward posted that SpongeBob picture. I mean, he's already had to backtrack and from a tweet and things earlier in the season. He came back and said, "Look, if Auburn were 5-0, do you think any of these guys would be tweeting anything?"
It'd be, as Damon Craig said about 4 months ago,
Everything's
it'd be
Gucci.
Gucci. That's what it would be. I mean,
when everything's going well, everything's
that's a sign of
kosher.
leadership, though.
Well, it's a sign of leadership, and it's a sign of who you're made of. It's a sign of, have you been a prima donna your whole life? And, yeah, you're a good football player, but how much have you been told that you're a good football player? And as we've seen so many times, that somebody being told they're a good football player does not translate at the next level into you being a good football player. So if Byron Cowart wants to go ahead and leave Auburn, sit out of here and go back to Florida, that's fine. I mean, go ahead. Do what you got to do. Now, how about be somebody that comes up with a solution to the problem instead of somebody that pours gas on the fire?
I mean, I agree completely, and this is my thing. And now, granted, I know all of this doesn't fall at the top with Gus, but a lot of this, I think, the disgruntled men and that type of thing, it does have to do with the losing. But again, that's a sign of leadership. But I hate to say this, and we've kind of been touching on the last 2 or 3 years, but the culture at Auburn it's changed tremendously, and I think especially 2010 and beyond, we sold out, I think, to be able to compete with Alabama's and at the time Florida, Ohio State, US, those types of schools. And so the type of talent that we're getting, not from a talent perspective, but necessarily the type of person we're getting may not necessarily be what we're accustomed to at Auburn. And so right now you're at an opportunity where you've talked about it. Do you want to win or do you want to have a clean program? And not saying that they're doing anything wrong, but the type of kids that you're bringing in.
Well, where did Byron Cowart fall in that mix, Scott? I mean, Byron Cowart was the number one player on ESPN, all right, in recruiting. I mean, everybody wanted him. It came down to Florida and Auburn. And, CCJ – I don't know. I mean, that's the million-dollar question I'm asking, is that why all of a sudden does Byron Cowart become a flop? I mean, why does Duke Williams come back as Mel Kiper's number one receiver off the board, and he can't make it through the season? I mean, do they not have enough focus and enough sense to know that if I come in and I show out and I do well, then I am making a future for myself? Now, I don't know if anybody in the NFL wants Duke Williams on their team. I mean, he can't stay, whatever it is, and they're going to talk to these coaches, and they're going to ask him, what about your character? What about a team leader? Because there's more that goes into being a good football player, Scott, on the field, and being able to catch, 10, 11 passes a game and being able to run the football for 150 yards a game. And they want to know what kind of person you are, because they're making an investment in you, and they're paying you a lot of money, and they don't want to pay somebody that's a troublemaker and that's a cancer to the team, or they feel like would bring their franchise down.
I mean, you said it, and Andy and I talked about it on Sports Call on Friday, and I told him, I said, something has to happen quickly with number one. I would never go talk about his name or anything. I said, until you could tell it just watching it. He was loafing, and, I mean, that type of energy brings down the rest of the team. I bet the the play of some of these other players, it might elevate them, because when you have that type of distraction on the field like that, that just brings down everybody else. And so the crazy thing about it is they put Jeremy Johnson with him to be his roommate, and that seemed to just destroy both of them. So I'm not sure really what's going on there, but it's really
maybe that was the problem.
That could have been.
I mean, and I'm going to say this, and I haven't seen a Snapchat from Rock Thomas, but it's out there. The word is just flooded. So I feel pretty certain, just like we've seen some of the tweets from Byron Cowart. I mean, Rock Thomas, what has he done to this point?
I mean, it's his own undoing.
Well, here's the problem, Scott. If Peyton Barber has emerged as the number one back for Auburn, but Peyton Barber forever was the third team guy and never said a word, but showed up, practiced, and did what he was supposed to do. And now he's proven to be the guy that shows up every day and is the workhorse to get it done. You know, it's just hard to look through the disgruntled glasses. But when things aren't going your way, it's easy to cop out and say, look, I'm out of here. I'm ready to get the heck out. You know, things aren't going my way. And I'm just telling you, I mean, when things are going bad, you learn a lot about people's character and a lot about what they're made out of. And the ones out there tweeting and putting on Facebook and social media that they're ready to get out and ready to punch their card and go somewhere else, just go. I mean, because what else can you do with it at that point?
I mean, it's really disappointing, because it's another situation where Auburn is looking negative in the media's attention or the media spotlight. Definitely, as an Auburn fan, most Auburn people probably do agree that Duke being dismissed is probably the best thing that could have happened. Now, granted, you never want to dismiss your best football player, because he is our best football player, however, or was. But now to see it all transpiring, I'm concerned that this negative thought process will lead on to the rest of the season. I mean, this was an opportunity with the bye week. I thought that would get some collective minds together, kind of get things back situated.
Well, it really still is at a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you don't need to be playing anybody this Saturday. Not after what's gone down. And, you know, but it was a very uninspiring win for Auburn on Saturday. On the flip side, I thought this was crazy. I know Alabama blew Georgia out on the scoreboard. Did you know what Alabama was third down conversion-wise against Georgia? Would you like to guess?
50%.
1 of 12. Alabama was 1 of 12 on offense, third down conversions. I mean, you look at the block punt, the interception return for a touchdown, and them going for broke at a perfect time when they get the ball back off that turnover and they throw the ball deep and they hit them. That's 21 points right there. I mean, now they earned those 21 points. I'm not saying that those points count, obviously. But you take 3 big plays that Georgia just absolutely collapsed in that first half and let the game get out of hand. And, you know, the poor quarterback play and the inability to move the football on offense led to that. But outside of Alabama actually taking the ball, moving it down the field, didn't do it.
I will say this now. Nick Chubb he had my respect. He's got it. I mean, he did exactly as, I mean, now granted the game.
He had 180-yard run. The rest of it,
yeah, well, I mean, that's how you have to play a team like Alabama. I think when LSU
you have to pound, and then bust one. I understand that.
But I don't know. I think they're right back in prime contention again. They still have some tough games on the schedule. LSU, A&M, obviously, Mississippi State, Arkansas. There are some.
But I don't think any of them that they won't be favored in.
Yeah, and what'd you think of? I know y'all talk about it real quick. What'd you think about Saban's comment?
Why? Well, why did you go off on the guy? I mean, he didn't do anything but ask a question. It wasn't a controversial question, and it didn't. I mean, why would you? I mean, just all of a sudden, just out of the blue, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, just decide you're gonna go off on somebody. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, to me, it makes him look stupid. And I mean, I know he's got. I mean, he's the $5 million man and $6 million man, and he makes all this money and he wins all these games and all that. But there was nothing that predicated him to go off in that press conference.
He does. I mean, that's his way.
I don't know. There might be a history between him and that reporter. He may have written something sarcastic, or he may have said something in a sarcastic way that he knew he was prodding him, but I didn't read it that way. I'm
3
sorry.
out of 5 games, Power 5, they had given up 40-plus points. I mean, there were some signs that were pointing toward.
They pointed at somebody and say, I hope they're not playing for you at all. I mean, they're just to lose it. Said, we're dead and buried. So, anyway, it's going to get interesting tonight, 7 o'clock here in just a few minutes. Head on over. Myself, Luke Robinson. We got some great guests on the program tonight. We're going to be talking about a lot of what's going on in the world of college football. We'll take your calls over there as well. It's been a great show. Again, we'll thank everybody for being up here at JR Sports Bar and Grill. Had a great show. Stay tuned. Sports Blitz Live coming up next. All right, you got all of this.